We often look, to the present for solutions, for understanding. But what if some of the most fundamental insights into existence, into who we are and how we act, lie in texts from millennia ago?
Mm.
That imperishable Veda's knower's name, which ascetics free from passions seek to claim, desiring which they practice chastity's pure art, that goal I shall explain in brief, dear heart.
Om. Welcome, everyone, to this new episode of Bhagavad Gita, a poetic recital. Today, we're turning our attention to Chapter 8 of this really profound text. It's known as Akshara Brahma Yoga, or the Yoga of the Imperishable Supreme. Okay, so wrapping up Chapter 7, it lays out this path and then ends with some really key verses. Verse 7.29 first.
They know that Brahman whole, the absolute, the inner self, Athyatma to them is known, and all of karma's work, its cause and fruit. The cycle of existence loses hold. As wisdom dawns and ignorance takes flight, the mysteries of life begin to unfold, bathed in the radiance of divine light. Thus, those who seek true freedom find their way, by knowing me, where endless glories play.
Knowing Brahman, the self, and karma. Feels like understanding the entire operating system of existence. And then right after that, verse 7.3, Sonnet 30 builds on it.
Who know me in the earthly sphere's domain, and in the celestial realm they clearly see, and know me in the sacrifice's main, where offerings rise in devotion to me. These souls, with minds composed, eternally, in perfect focus never do they stray. At the great hour of death, they steadfastly remember me and find the destined way.
So chapter 7 closes with, seek refuge, gain this total system knowledge, Brahman, Adhyatma, Karma, and see the divine everywhere, Adhiputa, Ahidaiva, Adhyajna, with a steady mind, keeping that final moment in view.
Perfectly put. And you see how that just tees up chapter 8?
Absolutely. The title even gives it away, the Yoga of the Imperishable Brahman.
If you've genuinely taken refuge, like in 7.29, and you're told knowing reality is the path,
Then you have to ask, what is this reality? What's my role? How do actions work? And if 7.30 tells you knowing the divine everywhere in all these realms is vital for that final transition,
then you need the details. And crucially, how do I ensure my mind is stable then?
it's just brilliant structuring. Introduce concepts, then immediately address the questions they raise for someone actually trying to live it.
It's not just theoretical. Chapter 7's end isn't just an ending, it's a launch pad.
A launch pad for deeper inquiry, definitely. It just flows so logically from seeker to teacher. Really fundamental stuff, the kind of knowledge that can, well, reshape how you see things. All right, I'm Satosha.
And I'm Satoshi.
And to help us really absorb these ideas, these powerful concepts, we've chosen to explore them through hymns. Now, hymns for something so deep and philosophical, it might seem a little unusual at first glance. Why hymns for Chapter 8?
Well, it's actually quite fascinating how perfectly the hymn format sort of lends itself to conveying these teachings. Think about it. Hymns are often didactic, right? They're designed to teach, to make ideas stick in your mind. And Chapter 8 is just packed with these crucial concepts. Brahman, Adhyatma, Karma, what happens when we die, the paths the soul can take,
Okay.
and the structure of a hymn, the rhythm, maybe some rhyme. It just makes these complex doctrines so much more memorable.
And hymns aren't just for instruction, are they? There's that element of reverence, too, that awe.
Precisely. You've hit it right there. Chapter 8 gives this incredible, really awe-inspiring description of the supreme Purusha. And the hymn format, well, it allows us to capture that sense of wonder, that deep respect. The very act of listening or reciting these truths can evoke a real feeling of devotion. The structure helps focus the mind. And those patterns, the meter, the rhyme, they act like little anchors for your memory. In a chapter as philosophically rich, as dense as this one, those mnemonic devices are just invaluable. You find yourself recalling key bits more easily.
Right.
And it all kicks off with a series of pretty fundamental questions posed by Arjuna.
Indeed.
Let's listen to these opening verses then, the initial questions that really set our exploration in motion.
Okay. Arjuna asked, what, Purushottama, is Brahman great? What is Atma's true and proper state? What karma is? What is its purpose told? What's Adhiputa and Adhidaiva bold? How is Adhyajna known? Where does he dwell? Within this body, Madhusudana, tell. And how are you at the time of ending near? By those controlled in mind, discerned and clear.
So right off the bat, Arjuna lays out these fundamental questions. He's asking about, well, everything. And you'll notice some specific terms right away. For instance, Arjuna calls Krishna Purushottama.
Meaning the supreme person.
Exactly, right at the start of chapter 8. It really sets the stage for his big questions. He's asking the highest authority. What Purushottama is Brahman great? What is Adhyatma's true and proper state? What karma is? What is his purpose told? What's Atikuta and Atidaiva bold? How is Ahiranja known? Where does he dwell? Within this body, Mahasudana tell. And how are you at the time of ending near? By those controlled in mind, discerned and clear.
Wow. So right there he's asking about...
Brahman. You could think of that as the ultimate, all-encompassing reality, maybe.
That's a good way to put it.
Then Atatma, that seems to be about the true nature of the individual self. He's also asking about karma, not just what we do, but like the underlying purpose of action itself.
Right, the principle behind it.
Atiputa, the perishable world, Atidaivam, the divine principle, Adhyajna, the Lord within, and crucially, how to know the Lord at the time of death. How, at the leaving time, are you known, guiding souls to light.
So Arjuna's quest is really about understanding the essential components of reality, our place in it all, the driving force of action, the governing principles, and ultimately, how to connect with the divine, particularly as we face our own mortality.
That's pretty relevant stuff for, well, anyone who's ever thought about these things.
Absolutely.
Now, how does Krishna begin to answer these profound inquiries?
Well, Krishna starts by defining the very terms Arjuna has just raised, laying the groundwork.
Makes sense. Let's hear the Lord's initial response then.
All right. The Blessed Lord said, "The imperishable is Brahman, high and vast. One's nature, Svabhava, is Adhyatma caste. The force creating beings, causing them to start. That Visarga, known as karma, plays its part." The Blessed Lord said, "The imperishable is Brahman, high and vast. One's nature, Svabhava, is Adhyatma caste. The force creating beings, causing them to start. That Visarga, known as karma, plays its part."
Okay, so Brahman is the imperishable, like the eternal, unchanging bedrock of everything.
Exactly. That which doesn't decay. The foundation. Described as high and vast, suggesting its supreme nature, but also its all-encompassing presence, like the fundamental code of the universe, perhaps.
And Adhyatma is our own nature, Svabhava, our intrinsic being, our role in the play.
Your inherent self.
And karma is the sarga, the force that brings beings into existence, so not just our individual actions, but the very impulse of creation itself.
Yes, exactly. Visarga is that creative outpouring, the force that sets things in motion. It's the initial thrust, the very first movement leading to manifestation. So our actions are deeply tied into that ongoing creation.
Both ancient wisdom and modern science talk about the universe's beginning.
Pretty fascinating when you think about it. These are frameworks separated by, what, thousands of years?
Exactly, and totally different approaches. One spiritual, philosophical.
And the other based on, math and observation.
Yeah.
Empirical.
Yeah.
Yet they're both tackling the same massive question.
Okay, let's jump right in. How about we start with the Vedic perspective?
Sounds good. So in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7 specifically, there's this concept of the divine as the source.
The source, right. Like an ancient seed, the starting point for all existence.
Precisely. It's that fundamental unified beginning.
Know me, O Partha, as the ancient seed, the timeless source from which all life takes root. Before all ages, I have been decreed, the origin, the everlasting fruit. And that leads into another idea, doesn't it? Visarga.
It does. Visarga is, you could think of it as the next stage, the secondary creation.
Secondary creation, meaning
the unfolding, the manifestation outwards. It's how all the diversity we see emerges from that very subtle, unified state. The potential for everything is right there in that initial unity before things start differentiating.
Okay. How does modern science see the beginning?
Well, the prevailing view in cosmology starts with the singularity.
Ah, the singularity, that theoretical point. Incredibly dense, hot.
Unimaginably so. A point where, honestly, our current physics kind of breaks down. It's the before, if you like.
And right after that, almost instantly, there was inflation.
The inflationary epoch, yeah. An incredibly brief period of just staggering expansion, exponential growth.
The scale is just impossible to really grasp, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
The universe ballooning by an insane factor, like 10 to the power of 26, maybe more, in a sliver of a second, so small it barely counts as time.
Like going from smaller than an atom to bigger than everything we can see.
Something like that, yeah. In less time than light takes to cross a proton. It's that fast.
Oh. And this inflation wasn't just empty expansion, right? It did something important.
Absolutely crucial. The idea is it stretched these tiny quantum fluctuations, these little energy
They
ripples.
stretched them out to cosmic size.
Exactly. And those became the seeds, the sort of uneven patches where gravity could later pull matter together to form galaxies, stars, everything.
So all the stuff, matter, energy, structure, it all emerges from that initial explosive state.
That's the picture, yes.
Okay, so let's bring them back together. We have the Vedic seed and Visarga and the scientific singularity and inflation. What happens when you put them side by side?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. You see this almost metaphorical parallel in the structure of the story. Both systems, using totally different languages, describe the universe starting from a single, concentrated, unified source.
The Vedic seed, the divine source.
And the scientific singularity. Both are points of origin.
And then both involve some kind of rapid, transformative unfolding.
Right. Visarga in the Vedic view, that outward manifestation, the creation of diversity.
And inflation in the scientific view, the super fast expansion that seeds structure.
It's this pattern from unity. This explosion or unfolding leads to complexity and diversity.
And that idea you mentioned earlier, potential, it seems present in both.
You could argue that, yeah, the potential for all forms is kind of contained within the Vedic seed.
And all the energy and the quantum fields needed for matter are there in the initial state before inflation.
Exactly. Now, we have to be careful, of course. The nature of the source and the mechanisms are completely different. One is spiritual, divine.
The other is physical, mathematical, understood.
But the overall shape of the narrative, unity to diversity via a powerful, rapid process, there's a resonance there that's quite striking.
So why should you, listening now, care about exploring these different stories? What's the point?
Well, I think finding these kinds of echoes, these resonances between ancient thought and modern science, it kind of stretches our minds, doesn't it?
It broadens our perspective on how humans try to answer the biggest questions. Where did we come from? How did it all begin?
Right. And it shows that maybe some patterns, some ways of conceptualizing the universe's origin, they sort of recur. Even across vast cultural and historical divides, it encourages thinking about reality from different angles.
All right, so we have Brahman, Adhyatma, and Karma defined. The imperishable is Brahman supreme. One's own nature is Adhyatma's domain. Action causes beings to team. It's the giving forth of form, a vital stream. What about the other terms, Adhiputa, Atideva, and Adhyajna?
Krishna addresses those in the very next hymn.
Okay, let's listen.
Adhiputa is the state of being that decays. Purusha, Adhidaiva, shines in many ways. Adhyajna, here within this form, I myself reside. O best of embodied ones, where souls abide.
Okay, so Adhiputa is the realm of things that decay the physical world, the stuff we see and touch. Perishable.
Correct. Everything subject to birth, growth, decay, death, that whole cycle.
Then Adidaiva is linked to Purusha, the divine being or cosmic spirit, shining in many ways. So the governing principle behind the material.
Yes, the divine principle, the Purusha, the universal spirit that underlies and governs the material realm, expressing itself in countless forms.
And Adhyajna is maybe the most striking. Krishna says, here within this form, I myself reside. The Lord himself is the principle of sacrifice right here inside us.
Exactly. The Lord is the very essence of all sacrifice, residing within the hearts of all beings. It's a really profound statement about the immanence of the divine.
Wow. Adhibhuta is the state of being that decays. Purusha, Adidaiva, shines in many ways. Adhyajna, here within this form, I myself reside, O best of embodied ones, where souls abide. It speaks to immanence, the divine, right here, inside us.
It really does. It shifts how you might perceive yourself, and, well, everyone, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And that idea of the divine within naturally leads to thinking about, well, the end of this physical existence. The next verse tackles that. And he who at the end leaves this body's hold, remembering me alone with courage bold, he reaches my own state beyond all fear. There is no doubt in this, made very clear.
And he who at the end leaves this body's hold, remembering me alone with courage bold, he reaches my own state beyond all fear. There is no doubt in this, made very clear. Whatever state one thinks of at the last, when leaving body, mind, and life held fast, that very state, O son of Kunti, is attained by constant dwelling on that thought, unrestrained.
Wow, these are powerful. The first one is so direct, whoever departs remembering the divine attains the Lord's own state, free from fear. That's quite a promise about our final thoughts.
It is. It really underscores the immense importance of our consciousness right at that moment of death. If the mind is steadfastly fixed on the divine with devotion at that crucial time, The soul merges with the supreme.
Whatever state one thinks of at the last, when leaving body, mind, and life held fast, that very state, O son of Kunti, is attained by constant dwelling on that thought, unrestrained.
The state you attain is determined by the state you habitually dwell upon, especially the one held at the moment of death.
So it's not just a last-minute thing. Ideally, it's about what you've been cultivating all along, that constant dwelling.
Precisely. What's the dominant theme of your consciousness throughout life? It emphasizes that our consistent mental and emotional states throughout life heavily influence our consciousness at the time of death and, consequently, our next destination. And to help make these sometimes abstract ideas a bit more concrete,
Yeah.
you mentioned an analogy.
Yes. Think of reality, the whole cosmos, as a incredibly complex, totally immersive computer game.
Okay, interesting. Like a framework to make these big concepts relatable.
Precisely. Or maybe getting beyond the game. It's like trying to figure out the rules of the game while you're right in the thick of it.
Uh-huh. You need to understand the mechanics to know how to act.
Exactly. So his first question, the big one, what is Brahman?
The ultimate reality.
And the answer given is, Brahman is the imperishable reality. Now let's bring in our game analogy. Imagine this as the fundamental game code.
Okay.
The underlying rules, the physics engine, the unchangeable principles that govern the entire game world. It's constant, it's eternal, it doesn't change.
The source code, essentially.
Exactly. Then, material nature. Think of this as one single playthrough of the game.
Ah, so the actual experience within the game.
Right. The dynamic, temporary world you experience, all its contents, the text calls them Buddhas, but in our analogy, maybe that's the avatars, the power-ups, the items, the environments you encounter in that specific session. They come and go.
So the world we see and interact with is the playthrough, but the underlying rules, the code, that's the constant, imperishable part.
You got it. And this whole idea stretches out across huge cosmic timescales, too. They talk about the day of Brahma. Game being fully active, online, maybe millions are playing, it's manifest, buzzing with activity.
Okay.
And then there's the night of Brahma, which is like the game world dissolving. Maybe the servers go offline, it gets archived.
But the potential is still there.
Exactly. That's the critical point. The underlying source code, the imperishable Brahman, the potential for the game, always remains, ready for the next cycle, the next day.
It really emphasizes that cyclical nature, creation and dissolution, but with something fundamental always enduring underneath.
Okay, so next Arjuna asks about Adhyatma. Basically, who am I in all this? What's my essential nature?
It's my role.
Yeah. And the answer connects to this concept of swabhava, your inherent nature, your intrinsic disposition. In the game analogy, Adhyatma is like your specific character class or role.
Like being a mage, or a warrior, or a healer.
Something like that. It comes with its unique skills, tendencies, maybe even starting stats. It's your inborn setup in the game.
And knowing the swabhava, this nature, is presented as being really important.
Hugely important. Understanding your swabhava is key to acting authentically, acting in harmony with the cosmic order, the Dharma. It's about knowing your strengths, your inclinations, and playing your part effectively within the larger game.
So it's not about wishing you had a different role, but mastering the one you have.
Precisely. Which leads naturally into the next question about karma, the principle of action.
Right, what you do based on that nature.
Exactly. Karma is defined as the actions you take within the game, flowing from your swabhava. But here's where it gets really crucial. There's a big distinction made.
Between different kinds of action.
Yeah. Actions driven by desire, wanting stuff, wanting outcomes, avoiding pain. These lead to what's called karmic bondage. They keep you stuck in the game's cycle.
Like chasing achievements or loot, maybe? Keeps you logging back in.
Good one, yeah.
Yeah.
It keeps you invested in the results within the game. But then there are actions performed without that personal desire. These are called yajna.
Selfless actions.
Right, like acting for the sake of duty, for the sake of the cosmic order, maybe even for the sake of the game's creator, without attachment to the results. The sarga, the force that brings beings into existence, very impulse of creation itself.
Yes, exactly. Visarga is that creative outpouring, the force that sets things in motion. It's the initial thrust, the very first movement leading to manifestation. So our actions are deeply tied into that ongoing creation.
These actions don't create that bondage. In fact, they're seen as a prerequisite for liberation, for yoga, for that union.
So the motivation behind the action is everything. Acting because it's your role, your function, versus acting because you want something from it.
You've nailed it. That's the core distinction. Okay, moving on. Arjuna asks about Adhiputa. Essentially, What's this material world, this stuff around us, and who really owns it?
All the temporary things again.
Exactly. Adiputta is the perishable material world. In the game, think of all the temporary artifacts you collect during one playthrough.
The cool gear, the power-ups, the currency.
Yeah, all that stuff. You might possess it for a while within that game session, but it ultimately belongs to the material nature of the game world. It's not permanently yours, it's transient.
Underscores that idea of impermanence for anything material.
Definitely. Then we get to Adidaiva. This is about the governing forces, or maybe destiny.
Or the principles that guide how things unfold.
Yes, that feels closer. It's linked back to the code of the game, the inherent logic of Brahman itself. It's the underlying cosmic intelligence, the cause and effect built into the system that shapes how events play out.
So not random chance, but an underlying order or intelligence directing the flow.
Right. It's the deep structure, the rules that make the game work the way it does.
Okay.
Well, Chapter 7 explains how it all works at that sort of fundamental level within the game. The three fundamental qualities or modes of nature: sattva, rajas, tamas.
And states of being, whether pure and clear, or moved by passion, restless and ablaze, or veiled in darkness, ignorance, and fear. Know these three qualities, in all their ways, arise from me, through evolution's maze. The gunas creating the eightfold nature in Chapter 7, that explains the mechanism of manifestation within the larger context provided by Chapter 8. And the last piece of this puzzle he asks about is Adhyajna, the Lord of Sacrifice.
And here the answer gets very direct, very personal. Adhyajna is identified as the Lord himself, Krishna, in this context. He's positioned as the creator of the game.
The ultimate recipient of those selfless actions, the yajnas.
Exactly. When you act according to your swabhava, fulfilling your duty without attachment, without selfish desire, those actions, those yajnas, are ultimately offered to the creator. It's like playing the game in perfect harmony with the creator's intention or design.
That makes sense. Aligning your actions with the source.
Which then brings us to maybe the most critical question for Arjuna and, well, for anyone thinking about mortality.
What happens at the end? Game over.
Right. How do you attain the divine? How do you connect with that ultimate reality when this life ends? And the teaching is profound. Your state of consciousness, what you are focused on at the moment of death, determines what happens next.
So your final thoughts really matter.
Immensely. The idea is, if your mind is fixated on material things, all those temporary game artifacts, the possessions, the desires, well, maybe you respawn, you get another playthrough focused on similar things. If your focus is more on Brahman, that underlying reality, the game code, maybe you connect more with that abstract principle. But the path described for actually meeting the creator, for transcending the game entirely, is through complete devotion. Remembering and focusing on Krishna, the divine, at that final moment.
That's what leads to liberation, nirvana.
That's the path outlined here, yes.
Yeah.
And the liberated yogi, then, is someone who, well, they sort of get over playing the game in the usual sense.
They understand the mechanics, maybe.
They understand the mechanics, they've found lasting peace, nirvana, and maybe they even gain a kind of deeper insight, almost like becoming a creator or builder themselves, metaphorically speaking. They see the bigger picture, and these yogis, the ones who blend that devotion with selfless action based on their swabhava, they're held in very high regard.
Which ties everything back together neatly, the nature, the action, the focus.
It does. And that brings us right to the chapter's title, Akshara Brahma Yoga. Let's just quickly unpack that.
Okay. Akshara.
Akshar means the imperishable, the undying. Here, it refers specifically to the imperishable divine, to Krishna.
Right. And Brahman.
Brahman, in this context, is often interpreted as the whole of creation, the manifest universe that arises from that imperishable source.
And yoga, of course, is the path, the union.
Exactly. So Akshara Brahma Yoga is the path, the discipline, the way to realize the connection between the imperishable supreme self, Akshar, and the entire creation, Brahman. It's about understanding that relationship and achieving union.
Bringing it back to the analogy one last time.
Krishna is the divine creator. Brahman is the eternal, unchanging game code, and we, as players, are trying to understand our role, Adhyatma, act rightly, Karma Yajna, see beyond the temporary stuff, Adiputta, grasp the underlying rules, Adhideva, connect our actions to the source, Adhyajna, and ultimately maybe transcend the game through focus and devotion.
It's a really comprehensive map when you lay it out like that, from the cosmic structure down to individual action and consciousness.
It really is. So if our thoughts at death are that critical, the natural next question is, how? How do you ensure your mind is fixed on the divine then?
And Krishna provides that guidance in the subsequent hymns, laying out the path of practice for reaching the Supreme Person.
Okay, let's hear those next steps on this path of remembrance.
All right. Therefore, at all times, think of me and fight. With mind and intellect fixed on my light, you shall indeed reach me beyond all doubt. By constant practice, mind not straying out, he goes to the Supreme Person, divine and true, thinking upon him, ever fresh and new.
Think of me at all times and fight. That's such a key instruction, isn't it? Maintaining awareness of the divine, even, amidst the duties and challenges of life. Therefore, at all times, think of me and fight. With mind and intellect fixed on my light, you shall indeed reach me beyond all doubt.
See, at all times. And fight, meaning do your duty, live your life, engage with the world. Don't run away from it. The fight here symbolizes one's responsibilities, your actions in the world. The teaching is to perform these duties, but with your mind and intellect consistently directed towards the divine.
So it's a path of practice then.
Definitely.
By constant practice, mind not straying out, he goes to the Supreme Person, divine and true, thinking upon him, ever fresh and new.
Constant practice, abhyasa yoga, in Sanskrit terms often. Training the mind again and again, not letting it wander aimlessly.
And the goal of that practice, reaching the Supreme Person, thinking upon him.
Yes, meditating on that ultimate reality. And the reward is attaining that very reality.
And the following verse really emphasizes the need for continuous practice, abhyasa yoga, a mind that doesn't waver, to reach that Supreme Person through constant contemplation. It's about sustained effort, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Attaining the divine isn't presented as some passive event. It's the result of persistent effort, a continuous cultivation of mindfulness and devotion, keeping the thought of the Supreme Being ever present, always fresh in one's consciousness.
Now, Arjuna is given this instruction to think of the Supreme Person, but what exactly is the nature of this being? Krishna describes it, right?
He does, yes.
Let's listen to this description of the divine. It sounds fascinating.
It is. The ancient seer, the ruler, Lord of all, more subtle than the atom, hearing nature's call. The sustainer of all, unthinkable in form, luminous like the sun, beyond the darkest storm.
Wow.
At departure's time, with steady mind, with devotion, by yoga's power refined, focusing life breath rightly between the brows, he reaches that supreme divine person's vows.
That paints quite a picture. Ancient, the ultimate authority, everywhere yet finer than an atom, holding everything together beyond our ability to really grasp, and bright like the sun. The ancient seer, the ruler, Lord of all, more subtle than the atom, hearing nature's call. The sustainer of all, unthinkable in form, luminous like the sun, beyond the darkest storm.
What a description. It captures paradoxes.
Yeah.
Ancient, yet ever-present. The ultimate ruler, yet subtler than the subtle.
The sustainer, unthinkable form, but bright, luminous like the sun, beyond darkness. It evokes something vast, powerful, yet incredibly refined and pure.
Absolutely. It's trying to point towards something that's, well, beyond ordinary conception, but utterly real.
And the second part of this combined hymn describes the yogi reaching this person. At departure's time, with steady mind, with devotion, by yoga's power refined, focusing life breath rightly between the brows, he reaches that supreme divine person's vows.
It's a description packed with qualities that might seem contradictory,
Yeah.
Subtle yet sustaining all, ancient yet ever fresh, unthinkable yet luminous. It highlights the transcendent yet immanent nature of the divine.
Beyond our senses and intellect, but also the very ground of existence.
Right, the guiding intelligence, the ultimate source of light and purity.
And the next verses tie this understanding directly to the practice at the time of death, emphasizing that focused mind, devotion, and a specific yogic technique, concentrating the life force, the prana.
Yes, it bridges the knowledge of the Supreme Person's nature with the practical means of actually attaining that state. It underscores the importance of a disciplined mind, fueled by devotion, and using yoga techniques, particularly that focused control of breath, as a pathway to the divine at the moment of transition. That imperishable, Vedas knower's name, which ascetics free from passion seek to claim, desiring which they practice chastity's pure art. That goal I shall explain in brief, dear heart. Controlling sense gates, mind and heart confining, placing life breath in the head with yoga's skill aligning.
Okay.
Uttering Om, the single sound, which is Brahman true, remembering me, who leaves the body through, he attains the supreme goal beyond all worldly view.
Right.
He who remembers me constantly, with mind unswerving, To that ever-steadfast yogi, I am easily deserving.
So this imperishable goal, it's what the scholars of the Vedas talk about, and what ascetics, those who renounce worldly desires, are striving for through practices like chastity and self-control.
Exactly. It connects the concept of the imperishable Brahman with various existing spiritual traditions and practices. They're all aimed at transcending the limits of the physical body and the mind's desires. These practices, like sense control and detachment, are seen as ways to purify the mind and prepare it for realizing the imperishable.
And then there's that powerful instruction about uttering Om, the sacred syllable representing Brahman, while remembering the divine at the time of death. That seems like a very direct method. That imperishable Veda's knower's name, which ascetics free from passions seek to claim, desiring which they practice chastity's pure art, that goal I shall explain in brief, dear heart. Controlling sense gates, mind and heart confining, placing life breath in the head with yoga's skill aligning. Uttering Om, the single sound, which is Brahman true, remembering me, who leaves the body through, he attains the supreme goal beyond all worldly view.
Yes.
He who remembers me constantly with mind unswerving, to that ever steadfast yogi I am easily deserving.
Om. The recitation of Om, combined with remembering the divine, is considered a really potent practice for aligning one's consciousness with the ultimate reality right at that moment of transition. It's like invoking the essence of Brahman to help merge with the Supreme.
And that final verse there, for the yogi who constantly remembers the divine, mind totally focused, the Lord is easily attainable.
Bhakti, as maybe the most direct and accessible path. A mind consistently fixed on the Supreme Being naturally draws closer to that ultimate reality. It becomes easier, he says.
Now that the goal and the paths are described, what are the consequences of actually attaining this state? What happens then?
Krishna addresses that next, focusing squarely on liberation, moksha, freedom from the cycle of birth and death.
Let's hear about this freedom from rebirth.
Okay. Having attained me, they do not take birth anew. In this sorrow's world, transient, false, untrue, the great souls reaching supreme perfection's height, return no more, dwelling in eternal light.
Wow.
From the realm of Brahma downwards, all worlds spin and cease their places of return, giving no release. But having come to me, O son of Kunti, known. For them, no rebirth is by nature shown.
This is it, the promise of liberation. Those who reach the divine are freed from the cycle of rebirth in this world of suffering, as it calls it. Transient, false, untrue.
Yes.
They attain supreme perfection and dwell in eternal light. Having attained me, they do not take birth anew. In this sorrow's world, transient, false, untrue, the great souls, reaching supreme perfection's height, return no more, dwelling in eternal light.
Liberation, moksha. Freedom from rebirth, from samsara, this cycle of birth and death described as a transient world of sorrow.
From the realm of Brahma downwards, all worlds spin and cease. They are places of return, giving no release. But having come to me, O son of Kunti, known for them, no rebirth is by nature shown. Even the highest heavens, the realm of Brahma,
The source code, essentially.
are still part of this cycle. They come and go. They aren't permanent release.
That's a crucial distinction, yes.
Yeah.
It emphasizes that all realms within the manifested universe, even those considered incredibly exalted, are ultimately subject to these vast cosmic cycles. They don't offer permanent release. True liberation, freedom from rebirth, is only attained by reaching the Supreme Being beyond those cycles.
Which leads us nicely into the concept of those vast cosmic cycles. Krishna touches upon that next, doesn't he?
Offering a glimpse into these immense time scales and the processes of cosmic manifestation and dissolution, it puts our human lifespan into perspective, to say the least. Who know the day of Brahma lasting 1,000 ages wide, and night of Brahma also 1,000 ages ride. They are the knowers of day and night, by time's eternal tide. From the unmanifest all beings manifest in stream. When Brahma's day arrives, like a waking dream, at the coming of night they dissolve back to that lair, the unmanifest source, beyond all thought and care. The same host of beings, helpless, again and again are born. At night's coming they dissolve, weary and forlorn. At the coming of day, O Partha, they manifest again, torn.
Thousands of ages for a single day of Brahma and an equally long night. That's a scale of time that's, well, almost impossible to really grasp.
It's mind-boggling.
It's like a cosmic breathing in and breathing out.
That's a very good analogy. These verses describe the immense cycles of cosmic creation, manifestation during Brahma's day, and dissolution, pralaya, during Brahma's night, in Hindu cosmology. Beings are continually cycling through birth and dissolution within these huge periods.
And it sounds like beings are sort of caught in this endless loop, manifesting and dissolving, almost helpless, driven by forces beyond their individual control.
Exactly.
Who know the day of Brahma, lasting 1,000 ages wide, and night of Brahma, also 1,000 ages ride. They are the knowers of day and night by time's eternal tide.
Understanding this vast rhythm is considered true knowledge of day and night on a cosmic scale.
And what happens during these cosmic days and nights? From the unmanifest, all beings manifest and stream. When Brahma's day arrives like a waking dream, at the coming of night, they dissolve back to that layer, the unmanifest source beyond all thought and care. The same host of beings, helpless, again and again are born. At night's coming, they dissolve, weary and forlorn. At the coming of day, O Partha, they manifest again, torn.
They are carried along by this cosmic tide. But then, the text introduces something beyond this cycle.
But beyond this unmanifest, there is another state, unmanifest too, eternal, sealed by timeless fate. When all beings perish, that does not abate.
This is key. Krishna contrasts these cosmic cycles with a higher, eternal reality that transcends them completely.
The goal beyond the cycles.
Right. But beyond this unmanifest, there's another state. Unmanifest too, eternal, sealed by timeless fate. When all beings perish, that does not abate. This unmanifest is called imperishable, steadfast high. They call it the supreme goal, reaching which they do not die. That is my supreme abode beneath my watchful eye. That supreme person, O Partha, by devotion gained, within whom all beings dwell, by whom all is sustained.
So beyond the unmanifest source of the cyclic universe, there's another unmanifest state, one that's eternal, imperishable. It doesn't dissolve when everything else does.
Exactly. This is the transcendental reality, the eternal, unchanging ground of existence that lies completely beyond the cyclical nature of the manifested universe we just discussed.
This unmanifest is called imperishable, steadfast, high. They call it the supreme goal, reaching which they do not die. That is my supreme abode beneath my watchful eye.
There it is. This eternal unmanifest is the imperishable akshara in Sanskrit. It is the supreme goal.
It's the Lord's own supreme abode.
Yes, it equates this ultimate eternal ground of being with the divine itself.
That supreme person, O Partha, by devotion gained, within whom all beings dwell, by whom all is sustained.
Again, the emphasis on devotion bhakti.
And it's specifically stated again. This supreme person, this ultimate state, is gained through devotion, bhakti. It keeps coming back to that.
It does. It reiterates that the most direct path to this ultimate, imperishable reality is through unwavering devotion to the Supreme Person, the one in whom all beings reside and by whom the entire universe is sustained.
Now, towards the very end of this chapter, Krishna discusses different paths of departure. What's that about? Does it matter how you leave?
He explains that the time and maybe the conditions or manner in which a yogi leaves the body can influence their subsequent journey. It can determine whether they return to the cycle of rebirth or attain liberation.
Interesting. Let's hear about these distinct paths of departure.
Okay. Fire, light, day, the bright half, 6 months of sun's northern source. Then departing, those who know Brahman go to Brahman by spiritual force.
Okay, the bright path.
Smoke, night, the dark half, 6 months of sun's southern course. Then the yogi attains lunar light and returns, following nature's source.
The dark path.
Indeed, these two paths, bright and dark, eternal are. By one goes not back. By the other, returns from afar. So this isn't just about clock time, is it? It's more about the inner state and perhaps cosmic conditions or pathways symbolized by these times.
Right. It seems symbolic of different routes the soul can take. One leading to liberation, the other leading back to rebirth. Fire, light, day, the bright half, 6 months of sun's northern source. Then departing, those who know Brahman go to Brahman by spiritual force.
This is often called the bright path, Devayana, associated with light, fire, daytime, the waxing moon, bright half, the sun's northward journey, symbols of knowledge and ascension.
And departing through this path or under these conditions leads those who know Brahman. Directly to Brahman, no return.
That's the assertion, is the path of liberation.
Smoke, night, the dark half, 6 months of sun's southern course. Then the yogi attains lunar light and returns, following nature's source.
This is the contrasting path, the dark path, Pitrayana, associated with smoke, night, the waning moon, dark half, the sun's southward journey. Symbols, perhaps, of lingering attachments, or less complete realization.
And this path leads the yogi not to Brahman directly, but to lunar light, sometimes interpreted as a heavenly realm, but one from which they eventually return.
Yes, the key difference is the return. It implies experiencing the results of good karma, perhaps, but still being within the larger cosmic cycle.
So, two fundamental paths. Indeed, these two paths, bright and dark, eternal, are, by one goes not back, by the other returns from afar.
Eternal paths, the text says, always existing options, essentially. One leads to ultimate freedom, the other back into the cycle.
And knowing this distinction is important for the yogi.
Absolutely. The next verse makes that clear.
Knowing these two paths, O Partha, no yogi is perplexed. Therefore, at all times, O Arjuna, in yoga, be annexed. So it's not just about your state of mind at death, but also seemingly about the conditions surrounding it, the timing.
Well, while the state of consciousness is always paramount, as stressed earlier, these verses do suggest that the circumstances of departure might also play a role. Perhaps they reflect the accumulated tendencies, the karmas of the individual. However, it's important to note what comes next. The concluding verses emphasize that true understanding, true yoga, transcends reliance on these external factors or timings.
Okay. And those final verses, they talk about the superiority of yoga as the ultimate path, right?
Yeah, they do, yes. They conclude the chapter by highlighting the supreme attainment that comes to the dedicated practice of yoga.
Let's listen to these concluding thoughts on the path to liberation then.
All right. Knowing these two paths, O Partha, no yogi is perplexed. Therefore, at all times, O Arjuna, in yoga be annexed.
Be fixed in yoga.
Whatever fruit of merit in Vedas is declared. In sacrifices, austerities, or gifts shared, the yogi surpasses all. This truth commands the heart and attains the supreme primeval abode, set apart.
Okay. So understanding these two paths helps the yogi avoid confusion, avoid getting caught up in just the timing or ritual.
Yeah, exactly. Don't get bewildered by the paths.
And the ultimate instruction is clear. Be constantly engaged in yoga. Be steadfast. Whatever fruit of merit in Vedas is declared, in sacrifices, austerities, or gifts shared, the yogi surpasses all. This truth commands the heart and attains the supreme primeval abode set apart.
This is a powerful conclusion. The yogi who truly understands these principles and remains steadfastly connected, annexed in yoga, transcends the limitations or fruits of those other practices.
And attains the supreme primeval abode, the ultimate goal.
The highest state, yes. The key is that consistent, unwavering connection and practice.
Okay, let's try to wrap this up. Synthesize these really profound teachings. In this episode, focusing on the hymns, on the imperishable Brahman and liberation, we've journeyed through Arjuna's really fundamental questions about reality, the self, action, the divine forces.
Big picture.
We've explored Krishna's definitions, Brahman as the eternal reality, Adhatma as our inherent nature, Karma as the creative force.
And Adibhuta as the perishable world, Adidaiva as the divine principle, and Adhyajna as the Lord's presence right within us.
Right. And we've also learned about the absolutely critical importance of our consciousness at the time of death, how it's shaped by our lifelong thoughts and devotions.
Definitely. And the path to liberation.
A path to liberation.
Exiting the game.
Right, exiting the game. And it linked this back to the influence of the gunas themselves. Can you maybe unpack that connection a bit?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. The idea is that the very qualities that, bind us to the cycle of experience, the gunas, might also hold the key to transcending it. Well, the suggestion is that by consciously cultivating certain, let's call them counterforces, we can lessen the grip of these gunas. We can work against the inertia of tamas, the restlessness of rajas, and even the subtle attachments that can come with sattva.
Okay, counterforces. What might those look like? What are we talking about here?
Well, the thinking goes something like this. Tamas, with its inertia and sort of delusion that can be countered by focused discipline. Brahmacharya, a kind of comprehensive conscious effort.
Right, actively pushing against the inertia.
Exactly. Then rajas, the driver of passion, restlessness, attachment to the results of action, that can be balanced by yajna, selfless action, acting without being hooked on the outcome.
Doing the action for its own sake or for a higher purpose.
And even sattva, which is goodness and harmony, it can still lead to attachment, like being attached to being good.
Oh, interesting. A subtle trap.
It can be. So transcending even that might involve cultivating bhakti, a deep, unwavering devotion that goes beyond even the desire for virtuous experiences or pleasant feelings.
So it sounds like it's about skillfully navigating these fundamental qualities that shape our reality and ultimately maybe moving beyond their pull altogether.
That's the idea. By understanding the gunas, seeing how they operate in us and the world, and then actively engaging in practices that counteract their, let's say, binding effects,
Yeah.
and maybe even transcend their influence entirely, we can move towards a state of greater freedom, liberation from the cycles of material existence.
So finding a way to become more of a detached observer, maybe, or a more skillful player in the game.
Or perhaps even someone who transcends the game altogether,
Yeah.
reaching a state of stillness, equilibrium, nirvana. Involves that constant remembrance of the divine, focused practice, yoga, and ultimately attaining the supreme person, that eternal, luminous reality beyond all the cycles of birth and death.
It's really a remarkable condensation of wisdom in just one chapter.
It really is. It provides such a deep understanding of the fundamental nature of reality and, crucially, our place within it. Exactly what we hoped you'd get from this.
So, as you, the listener, navigate your day after hearing this, maybe consider this. Amongst 1,000 souls who walk the way, a rare one strives for perfect state to gain. Amongst 1,000 souls who walk the way, a rare one strives for perfect state to gain. And even of those striving day by day, who have achieved perfection's high domain, few truly know my essence free from stain. So vast the many lost in worldly plight, so few the chosen seeking truth again, so hard the climb toward the inner light, to reach the pinnacle, the goal supreme. A miracle it is, a truth profound, when by a striving soul I'm truly found.
A miracle it is, a truth profound, when by a striving soul I'm truly found.
Thank you for joining us for this episode on the hymns on the imperishable Brahman and liberation. We really trust these insights have been valuable for you. And understanding that interplay, hopefully, offers you, our listener, a much more nuanced, more complete picture if you're seeking to grasp the Gita's profound wisdom.
Absolutely. Om Tat Sat.